All right. The Coastal Carolina Chanticleers, one of the most surprising teams in college football last year, and one of the most fun teams to watch last year. They were a group of five team in the Sun Belt Conference, and they almost went undefeated with their only loss coming in a bowl game, the Cure Bowl, against Liberty in overtime. Now, the Chanticleers were favored by a lot of teams across America. People root for them unless you played them. You probably were hoping Coastal Carolina won. They went 11 and 0 in the regular season. They were the first Sun Belt team to do so, and the only loss, like I said, came to Liberty in the Cure Bowl in the postseason in overtime with a blocked field goal. Now, Coastal Carolina was a good team. Their quarterback and their head coach refused to let them lose. So we're going to see if they can repeat that this next season. All right, here's the schedule for Coastal Carolina. Again, we have a full regular season, a full 12-game regular season this year, hopefully with packed stadiums, according to the NCAA and the individual conferences and schools. We hopefully can get a full regular season. Now that COVID and the vaccines have been distributed, hopefully we can get a full regular season with 12 games and packed stadiums with the full college football energy. All right. Coastal Carolina starts off their season against the Citadel at home September 2nd. Citadel, not a good team. They're kind of like a military school, kind of like Army, Navy, Air Force. I could be wrong. I could be talking out of my butt right now, but I mean, I just talk. uh, anyway, the Citadel's not a good team. You should be much better than them. You also have so long to prepare for them to watch footage and everything. So I do think you come out and get the win against your season opener against the Citadel. You are now 1-0 going against Kansas at home. Kansas is not a good team. Kansas, it's an embarrassment to lose to Kansas. So embarrassing that FCS and Group of Five teams don't even lose to Kansas. If a Power Five team plays Kansas, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to win. Kansas is going to lose. So, I mean, you've beat them already. You had a home and home series scheduled and you beat them. So, I fully believe that you are going to beat Kansas again. So, I have you beating Kansas at home September 10th. You're now 2-0 going to your first road game at Buffalo. Buffalo last year was a good team. They had a pretty good record considering they did not have to play any Power 5 teams like normal Group of 5 teams would generally. I mean, they put up some competition. I don't know how well you're going to fare against them, but I do think you are going to beat them. I don't think it's going to be close or competitive. It might be competitive in the first or second quarter in the first half, but I do think you're going to pull away if it is competitive in the first half. So next, I have you going 3-0, going to your next home game against UMass. UMass is also not a good team. They may put up good competition here and there, but they're one of those teams that big like Power Five schools and big Group of Five schools love to stomp on. Like the Citadel, they just love to stomp on these teams. UMass is going into and you got them at home. I just don't see UMass at all pulling up the upset, which I do think you are going to be ranked in the top 25, top 20, top 15 at best, and going into this game. So we're going to see how that goes. I do have you winning against UMass 4-0 now. ULM. You have them at home, but ULM is tricky. Louisiana Monroe is one of those teams that is known for beating teams they're not supposed to. Like, let's go back to 2007 against Alabama, Nick Saban's first year. ULM somehow went into Alabama and beat them. It's not something people expected. ULM was not supposed to do that. So it was something that was surprising. I mean, they're known for beating teams they're not supposed to. I mean, they nearly beat Florida State a couple of years ago. But you are much better than them. You are much talented than them. It will probably be a close game, though. So I do have you beating ULM in probably a close game. Arkansas State. Arkansas State has a new head coach coming in from a former assistant coach from Alabama. He could turn Arkansas State into a good competitive team. Not in his first year. That's not going to happen. Arkansas State was competitive with you last year in the first half, but you pulled away eventually and ended up dominating them in the end. But it's probably if it is competitive, it'll only be competitive in the first half. So I do not think you're going to lose. It's not a team I think you're going to lose to. You have too much coming back and you have too much experience. So I do have you winning on the road at Arkansas State. App State. Now, Appalachian State is also like ULM, known for beating teams they're not supposed to. If anybody remembers, and I think everybody who knows college football, even if you're a new fan of college football, you obviously know about the Appalachian State versus Michigan game where App State beat Michigan by a blocked field goal that sealed the game for them. And that's the game that put App State on the map. App State has their resume intact. They have beat good Power 5 teams and good Group of 5 teams. They're up with the likes of Cincinnati. They're a good team. So I do think that they're going to give you a good game. I do think they are mad that you beat them. I do think they are going to get their revenge, and I do think they are going to beat you. This is your first loss of the season. You go in 6-0, and they probably have a couple of one or two losses, but this is probably the only game that I see you losing. Maybe we'll see. But your undefeated season is spoiled. Unfortunately, I really like you. I really like Coastal Carolina. I want to see them do good, but I don't see you losing to App State. I mean, I don't see you winning at App State. That's if it was at home, I would probably pick you to win, but it's at App State, and they're want their revenge, and they're a good team, but I don't see you beating them 2 years in a row. Okay, back you're coming back home against Troy. Troy gave you some heck last year. They really made you. They gave you a run for your money. Somehow that game should not have been close. It should not have been competitive. You should have destroyed them, considering your resume that you put out. But Troy is kind of those. It's kind of a good team. Good some years, good bad years. I mean, good some years, bad some years. They're not elite. They're not Cincinnati. They're not Appalachian State. They're not you. I mean, if you compare them to group of 5 teams, I would not compare them to Cincinnati. They're not a good team. You should win this. I have you winning this versus Troy. Now you go on another road game at Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern is another group of 5 team known for beating a Power 5 team. Florida. They beat Florida a couple of years ago. I think in the Will Muschamp years when they beat them without completing a single pass. We love to laugh and point at Florida for that, but Georgia Southern's not a good team. They're not good. They got lucky, and they're still not a good team. They can be competitive against Power 5 teams. I mean, if you put them up against Tennessee, they'd probably beat them. But I don't think they're going to beat you. Even though you're at Georgia Southern, you're too talented. You have too much coming back. I don't see you losing to Georgia Southern. All right. You are now 8-1. Okay. 9-1. Correct? No, 8-1. Okay. Georgia State. Georgia State is also known for beating a Power 5 team in the most hysterical fashion ever. Tennessee. We know them. We hate them. All right. Well, at least I do. Not really. Uh, Georgia State. They're they're like Troy. They're not great. They're not bad. They're not terrible. They're a middle of the road group of 5 team. They are very they aren't very good when it comes to playing good group of 5 teams like you. You should really actually destroy Georgia State. I would be surprised if this game was competitive. So I do have you beating Georgia State at home. I have another home game against Texas State. Now Texas State, they're not good. I mean, they have some talent, they have some good play calling, but they're not good enough to beat you. You are just way too talented for them. against them. So I do have you beating them, but don't overlook them. Another team to not overlook is South Alabama. You are on the road against South Alabama. If there's a team on here I say to not overlook the most, it would probably be South Alabama. Now I know what you're saying. South Alabama's not a good team. They're not good. They're not Cincinnati. They're not a Power 5 elite team. They're not an elite Group of 5 team. But they are a team that will catch you off guard. If you overlook them, they will beat you. If you think you can walk in there and just beat them without lifting a finger, you would be sadly mistaken. I've seen that happen to teams all the time. They walk in thinking that they have this, and they just lay an egg and they completely lose the game, throw it when they shouldn't. But I do have you beating South Alabama. All right, there you go. Coastal Carolina's 2021 season should finish. I have them going 11-1 with their only loss being to App State. Now, I do think you could beat App State. I mean, you could be much more talented than them. If you take this game 100% seriously and you prepare like you've never prepared for a game before, you could beat them. You could go 12-0 undefeated in your regular season. But if you do that, do not expect the playoff committee to look your way. They're not going to. You don't have a good schedule. The only Power 5 team that's on here is Kansas. They're not a good team. So don't think the playoff committee is going to look your way. Ooh, thinking Coastal Carolina, they got something going over there. Your strength of schedule is not good. The only Power 5 team is Kansas, and Kansas is not a good Power 5 team at all. Unless Kansas goes 11-1 in the regular season with their only loss to you, I don't think the playoff committee is ever going to look your way. But you could be the first Sun Belt team to go 12-0 in the regular season. Think about that, and I think you have a lot of people in America rooting for you to go undefeated. Anyway, that's my Coastal Carolina schedule preview. This is my new style that I'm probably going to carry over into the next season predictions. This is the last season prediction that I am going to do this year. I just wanted to get a new style going and see how this is. I wanted to save the best for last as well. But that's it. That's how I have Coastal Carolina doing. I have them going 11-1, 9-3 at worst, probably with losses to App State, ULM, and maybe Troy. So, and the best 12-0 with no losses. So that's it, and I will see y'all in the next video.